have ABC 3340's Johnny Congdon on the line down there in New Orleans. So want to get a check on the Sugar Bowl with him. And Johnny, how are you doing down there, man? It's good to talk to you.
Conrad, always good to talk to you, my man. It's an unbelievable city, and it's a strange city how it can go from being in the low 40s to the mid 70s in a day.
So you're basically in Alabama.
Oh, basically, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. But no, we've been down here since Monday, and yesterday was our first trip to Bourbon Street. So we joke, I'm playing a little hurt this morning, but we'll be just fine.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're having fun down there. I want to, of course, talk about the game, but real quick, if I'm not mistaken, you were the reporter who asked Bill O'Brien about a potential reunion with the Patriots. That was you, was it not?
Sure, yeah. So obviously, I almost think this game takes a back seat to some of the coaching personnel moves that are coming down the alley in just a few days here.
Yep.
Because obviously Bill O'Brien is at the end of his 2-year contract, his 2-year commitment. Now, I think there's a large chance that he leaves to go to the National Football League. I don't think it's 100% slam dunk that it's in New England. Bert Brewer was on 98.5 The Sports Hub this morning in Boston and said that from what he's talked to, people that he's talked to, Alabama has already had plans and had discussions of what they will do if Bill O'Brien does not return. They're almost expecting it. Now, if Alabama needs to find an offensive coordinator, that won't be hard to find. Nick Saban will have the pick of the lot, as we've seen throughout the years with X number of coaches that maybe fail somewhere in the NFL, maybe they fail somewhere in college. They come to the Nick Saban School of Offensive Rehabilitation, and before you know it, they're back on their feet in a few years and ready to take a job. Now, the New England situation, I don't know how many people are following up there, is an absolute mess right now. Matt Patricia, former defensive coordinator, is calling the plays for New England. So as much as Alabama fans would like to help Bill O'Brien pack and send him on their way, there's a large contingent of Patriot fans that would love nothing more than to welcome Bill O'Brien back in. But I asked him yesterday straight up, I go, do you want to return to Alabama, or have you talked to anybody in the Patriots? Is that an opportunity you'd like to consider? And he gave the typical coach speak, we're just going one game at a time, we're focused on this game. But then he did say, I haven't talked to anybody in New England since April, last time I was up there. So he is a New England native. He's from Andover, Massachusetts. He's got a place down in Cape Cod. His family, I know, would be thrilled to have the opportunity to return home to New England. So if you were making me bet my money, I would say that Bill O'Brien isn't the Alabama offensive coordinator next year, but I can't 100% pigeonhole him back to the past.
So some people may not know, but you are from Boston and you are a diehard Patriots fan. So I know you said that obviously there's been a lot of issues with Matt Patricia this year, but the fans seemingly want to change up there in New England, and you're a Patriots fan yourself. So I know you said that it seems like Alabama already has those contingency plans in place, but just kind of what's the Patriot fan perspective on that? And like, just how welcoming would they be to Bill O'Brien? Do you think that would still be a good fit there? And just the likelihood of, if that doesn't pan out, do you think there's another spot in the NFL he might end up?
Well, right off the bat, New England makes the most sense for a number of reasons. Not only is he from here, he has a relationship with Mac Jones, although they never crossed paths. When Mac was leaving Alabama, Bill O'Brien was coming in, and there was reports that Mac Jones was helping Bill O'Brien get familiar with the Alabama offense. So there is a relationship there. And for people that probably haven't watched the Patriots on a week-in, week-out basis, and maybe you watch a game here or there and there's a critical mistake or a critical play call that goes wrong, and everyone on the broadcast will say, well, that's very un-Patriot-like. That's very un-Belichick-like, uncharacteristic. These mistakes are happening each and every week. It's becoming commonplace, rather if it be the ending in the Vegas game when Jacoby Myers is lateraling the ball in a tie game that resulted in Chandler Jones intercepting and Ramondre Stevenson fumbling on the 5-yard line last week with a chance to go in and win the game. I mean, it's some of the worst offensive football you've seen from a Patriots team and you've seen from an NFL team this year. The only offense, Conrad, that I think looks worse is what was going on in Denver, and Nathaniel Hackett just got a favor. He said, no, we're done with him. So
that's not good. That's not good.
I don't even want to get on Patricia. Because it's not his fault. He never should be in this position in the first place. I likened it to a dentist that has to go do knee surgery. That's not what you do. It's mind-baffling, and it's the arrogance and it's the hubris of Bill Belichick to think that I can just willy-nilly pick up a guy that's never done this before and make him do it at the highest level, and it's been an unmitigated disaster. And don't forget, there's another former head coach on the staff in the offensive room, Joe Judge, the former New York Giants coach. He is the quarterback's coach. So it's just been a mess. It's been a cluster. And for New England fans, and I can speak for them because I am one of them, Bill O'Brien would be a welcomed hire because say what you want about him, and I don't think he's the world's greatest play caller, and I don't think he's had the greatest year here in 2022 with Alabama. He's still an offensive coordinator. He's still a professional. He's done it at the highest level. And at this point, I'll take a functioning adult over what New England's dealing with right now.
You love to see it. Johnny, this is Damian, man. Trying to kind of take us and set the scene in New Orleans. Of course, everybody's talking about, Bryce and Will. They are playing. But if just kind of reading the room of this Alabama team, do you feel like they're focused and motivated to play in this Sugar Bowl?
Sure. I don't think it's the laser focus that we've seen just a year ago in the Cotton Bowl when, remember, COVID was still very much an issue at the time. There was a surge in COVID, and I believe every single player on that team basically locked themselves in that hotel until they played Cincinnati and Jerry World. Now, this is a little different. We do see players walking around. We saw a player or two close to Bourbon Street, no faces that I recognize, but you see the Alabama attire. So the players are walking the streets. They are going to get dinner, which you think is normal for a bowl game. But for a Nick Saban coach team, you always think of the players afraid to walk around and do stuff. Are they just getting beignets? Are they partying on bourbon all night? I don't think that's the case, but I wouldn't say it's the laser focus that we've seen in years past, but I think they're motivated to win this game. We were talking to J.C. Latham, I believe it was Tuesday morning, and he has a lot of pride on that offensive line. We haven't got a chance to talk to guys like that often, but with Jevion Cohen leaving for the portal and Tyler Booker sliding into that left guard spot, guys like Brockmeyer, guys like Pritchett stepping up, I think that offensive line who's been decimated between injury and transfer portal defections, I think they want to show very well. And most importantly, I think that's the group that has the most pressure on them because everyone's going to be watching for the health of Bryce Young and Will Anderson Jr., of course, but Bryce Young specifically, quarterback who has no business playing in this game if he didn't want to. I don't think there's a single Alabama fan that would have faulted him. If they can't keep him upright and clean, and he's battered around and he messes a knee and he gets a shoulder and his draft status falls, that's going to fall on the offensive line. So I think that group in particular is taking the most pride in this football game come Saturday.
Talking with ABC 3340's Johnny Congdon on the Bud Light Hotline. He's down there in New Orleans covering the Sugar Bowl. Continuing on with Bryce and Will a little bit. We know they're going to play in the game, but is there any indication that there's, I don't know, whether it's a snap count or a certain number of, hey, we're up 17-21 potentially, let's take these guys out. Have you heard any indication that maybe they won't go the full game?
None. No, I think if they're going to play, they're going to play. Now, if it gets out of hand one way or the other, I can see that happening. But football is a unique game. Like, you could play basketball and you can go out there and you can go half speed, and you don't have to. Baseball, you can go out there on a random day in October or in August in the dog days and just say, I'm kind of going to mail it in. Football, if you don't play 100 miles an hour, you're going to get hurt. It's just one of those games that I don't think you can just go out there and dog it. You have to give it your all, and if you don't, I believe injury is a real cause. So I think when Will and Bryce are out there, they're going to give it their all, and they're going to look like vintage Bryce Young and Will Anderson Jr. But to your point, if it gets out of hand one way or the other, if Alabama's up 49-17 with 10 minutes to go, yeah, I think a lot of Alabama fans would be perfectly fine seeing Jalen Milroe or Ty Simpson come in the game. And for Will Anderson Jr., I mean, that guy's just wired different. I mean, we talked to him all year. I mean, that's the one guy who I was 100% sure this guy's going to play because it's just in his DNA. It's in his makeup. And when we asked his teammates about that decision to play, they literally just laughed at us. And they're like, oh, yeah, Will's a different cat. He's 100% going to go. Doesn't surprise me in the slightest that he decided to lace them up. So I'm looking forward to watching them both one more time. I've watched every snap they both played, covered them now. This is my second year officially covering them back into the state of Alabama. And I'll be sad to see him go because Bryce Young, without a doubt, will go down as the greatest Alabama quarterback that unfortunately never won his own national title. Of course, he was on the 2020 team backing up Mac Jones, but it's a shame he never got his own.
Kind of looking at it from the Kansas State side, how do you think that Kansas State can kind of keep this game relatively competitive come Saturday morning?
Got to run the ball. I know it sounds cliche how to win an upset. You got to limit mistakes, got to limit turnovers, got to be able to run the football. And they have maybe the best running back in this game in Deuce Vaughn. I mean, this kid is explosive. He was talking this morning to the media, and he's a refreshing breath of fresh air, incredibly smart, incredibly knowledgeable. And they were saying on the broadcast of the Big 12 championship game that he models his game after another Kansas State legend, Darren Sproles, and all those years when he was playing for then San Diego and then Philadelphia. I mean, just fun, jukebox, juke button, B button football. I mean, this kid is tiny, but his cuts are quick and clean, and he can accelerate. He's got 6 or 7 gears. So I think he's going to have to be a major key. And then anytime you're an underdog in a football game and playing Alabama, I think you got to steal a score somewhere, whether that be an onside kick that you end up getting points off of if you get a score on defense. But no, if Kansas State just lines up and says, hey, we're going to try to play Alabama tit for tat, they just don't have the athletes to hang in this game.
So real quick, talking about, we know Alabama has the top-ranked recruiting class this year. I mean, just 5-star after 5-star, it seems like. And we know that some of those players have traveled to New Orleans. So have you gotten a look at any of the incoming freshmen that are going through practices down there at Alabama? We know Justice Haynes, the running back, Caleb Downs, the safety. A few of those guys are out there.
Now, I know Justice Haynes is out there, but they're all wearing the same number, the running back room, obviously, from a scout team standpoint, getting ready for Kansas State. But the one guy that kind of took us back, and I said, whoa, is Eli Hochstein, number 6. I mean, he's obviously from Louisiana, has won a state championship at this building. And what took us away is just how big he is. I mean, he's only, 16 or 17, 18-year-old early enrollee, just should still be in high school. And he is a moose. I mean, he is a big, big kid. I never thought he'd be that big. And then, of course, Caleb Downs is the guy that Nick Saban absolutely gushed about last week at his press conference following signing day. The kid from Georgia stayed to win a state championship in the state of Georgia. Safety, a lot of Mika Fitzpatrick comparisons, smart, tough, leadership, got everything, the right stuff. So those are 2 guys that we start going. I know Justice Haynes is there. And then I know there's a tackle or 2 that's an early enrollee. So we'll be making sure to look out for that. And I know that Alabama yesterday just signed a tight end from Maryland. I know we're kind of a little behind here because we're trying to cover this
Dupree.
Game, but the cavalry is arriving, and anyone that thought that this Alabama dynasty is going anywhere, man, just look what Saban and company just did last week. And then you look at a program like Ole Miss, who just got clapped last night, and what they have had to do from a recruiting standpoint, trying to build an entire team through the portal and just getting killed in their high school recruiting. I think Alabama fans will wake up regardless what happens after Saturday and feel pretty good about 2023.
So, Johnny, I know you got a little bit of a tight schedule down there, so I'll let you get out of here with this. Just for any of our listeners that might be making the trip down to New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl to cheer on the Tide, do you have any recommendations, a restaurant or a bar or somewhere like that you've hit up down there that you would recommend?
A lot of Advil. A lot of Advil. No, obviously, Pat O'Brien's is the spot. I've been coming here since I've been in college. I have one of my best friends from back home went to Tulane, so we would make the drive down. And patios, man, if you like the Hurricanes, they can take you to that big fountain in the back. It's that outdoor, indoor. I said it was yesterday. We were up with my friend Max Cohen from up at Way 31 in Huntsville, and I said, have you ever been into a bathroom that smells as good as it does? We're on Bourbon Street.
I didn't know that existed.
Like dandelions and roses. It was like, what in the world? I said, I want to go have Christmas dinner on the floor of the bathroom at Patios. It smells so good. So, no, Pat O'Brien's, that's the spot to check out if anyone's coming down here. And, of course, you got to do the beignets. You got to go full tours. Cafe
of course,
right in Jackson Square. That's what we'll be doing our live stuff today. So if you want to watch me eat a beignet on live television, ABC 3340 today at 4, 5, and 6.
Very nice. Well, Johnny, we appreciate the time, man. Enjoy your trip down there in New Orleans, and maybe the Tide will pull out a victory. We'll see.
Conrad, thanks for having me on. Miss you, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep, talk to you soon, buddy. All right, there he is. That is ABC 3340's Johnny Congdon joining us on the Bud Light Hotline.